Okay guys, today we're going to give you a tip to help you potentially hit much longer and straighter drives, also whilst not changing too much in your golf game. We all know that driver is quite a beast to tame, but how can you do it without changing too much? Because especially this time of year, yes, you want to be kind of working on your game, you want to be looking towards next season, but you've still got a couple of matches to play, you've still got a couple of games in there, you've still got a couple of 18 rounders with the boys or the girls to play. So how can I do it? Because one of the big things that we need to do here is make sure that we are optimizing our launch. So to optimize launch, that means we want it launching around a nice height with the right spin rate, and that's going to give us the most distance. To do that, we want to strike it out the middle of the face, maybe slightly towards the toe. There is a little bit of a conspiracy that a slight toe strike will get you longer distance because the spin rate drops a bit and you get more of a dippy flight. The last thing we want to do is get a massive heely strike or a glancing blow across that golf ball. That's going to rob you of ball speed, it's going to get the spin rate really up, and it's just not going to work for you. So I like to set the driver a little bit differently to a lot of people. So a lot of people will set themselves up, they'll make sure they're lining down this beautiful 17th hole here at Woolley Park Golf Club. Water on the left, you don't want to go there, rough on the right. And if I set the club right behind the ball here behind the middle, this is okay if you have the correct sequence, the correct technique. If you load up to the top of the backswing and then you get a really nice kind of kinematic sequence on the way down, you start with the lower body, then the upper body works through, then you release the club, the sternum stays behind and you can work through into a nice finish. That's all good and well, but 90% of golfers don't do all that. They don't have the correct sequence, they don't get into a nice finish, and generally they'll cut across it just a little bit. So if I was to cut across it a little bit from being here, you'll see the club is right behind the ball. Oh no, oh, all right. Oh, that's a goner. That is such a shame as well, because it felt like I was in a really good position there to hit a long drive with the club being behind the ball. What if I was to move the club back so I don't start with the driver behind the ball? Hear me out, I know it might sound a little bit out there, but it's something that can really help, because generally what we're trying to do here is hit the ball on the way up. I spoke right at the start of this video about launch angles, launch conditions, spin rate, ball speed. We have to get the driver hitting the ball on the way up. So the low point of the driver is here, the ball is here, and it starts working this way. The last thing we want to do, and again, we'll show you that golf swing again and that ball flight, is see that ball fade off to the right. What's happened there is we've hit down on the ball. Because the driver's right behind it, I've actually come across it, hit down on it, and then the low point of the driver is here. So how can I battle that? Just by changing the ball position. So I want to make sure the ball's first of all nice and forward in my stance. The last thing you want is a ball in the middle of your stance here with driver, because then that's going to massively make you think about trying to get that ball airborne, because there's not a lot of loft, so you're going to hang back off it. You could hang back and come this way, you could hang back. You do not want to be hanging back off that driver. We actually struck that fairly centrally, as you can see. I don't know what ball we're using there, that's quite worrying. But because the path was so out to in and it was a bit of a glancing blow, that's why we got that shot. So if I move now this driver back in my stance, so rather than having it here, I'm actually going to start, and this is something that Jon Rahm does, so the Masters champion does this, he actually starts with the driver here. Now why does he do that? He starts with it a few inches behind, because Jon Rahm is trying to get to the top of his backswing, get that low point nice and early, and then hit that ball and get the ultimate launch conditions. He's not hitting it an inch like I did there, he actually hits it quite a lot further. Guys, who's going to win the Ryder Cup as well? This video might well be out after the Ryder Cup. It starts today on the day of filming. I think it might be one of those ties where whoever's got the cup retains the cup. That's my kind of guess. I think that is America, isn't it? So they might well be keeping hold of it. That would be my guess. So if I start now with that driver behind it here, that just gives me a little bit more room to keep my sternum behind the ball. So I make the same swing, I have the club behind the ball but a few inches, and you can see that same swing actually starts down the left side of the fairway and finishes bang smack in the middle. Exactly the same strike out of the middle of the face. Guys, Chris is now going to give you a drill that can really help you do this, help you potentially hit the middle of the face if that's what you want to do, or get it out towards that toe like I did there.
So guys, we now need to think about what other things this does for you. So one thing that this drill also, or this different way to set your driver also does for you, is sort your shoulders out. So the biggest problem for people who slice the golf ball is what we often see is they get it a little bit too far outside their left foot, and then what starts to happen here is because we are right-handed and my right hand is below my left, my shoulders start to get open, and again the shoulders are what is going to dictate my swing path. So you'll see there as James comes round, my shoulders are pointing over towards probably the first green. So from there I've already got a path working left, unless I do what? Unless I manipulate. So unless I start to go, okay, well I am here, I'll drop it underneath and I'll get it going out to the right. A funky move there, and that's not going to be consistent. It's not going to work. You might block some to the right, you might hit some to the left. So you see, if I get my ball position good just inside the left heel, and then I move that club back, look what it does to my shoulders. It squares them up, and if anything, it could potentially close those shoulders a little bit, and that's going to help encourage your path actually work a little bit out to the right. So if we've got the correct grip, we know we're going to have a lot more control on that club face. If I've got a nice neutral grip, or even if it's a little bit strong, then we're going to be able to get that club actually closing a little bit. The path now works a little bit out to the right, and we should be able to draw that golf ball. So I should be able to get the same ball position, set up as normal. The last thing I want to do is just drop that club back 6 inches. Then from here, this should encourage my path out to the right. And even there, not the best swing there, but that is down the middle stripe or just left centre of the fairway if James even zooms in.
You worry, son, I'm there.
And you'll see that that wasn't a great strike, but that's encouraged my path out to the right. So without having to actually try very hard, it's done that automatically for me. And this is why this is a fantastic drill for you to do and something to practice on the driving range. But this can also help you with irons. So you could do this with irons. If you're somebody who feels like you cut across with irons, we can still drop that club back because we're going to be able to get you more consistent. If we can get you more consistent, setting up correctly, getting that correct, making sure my ball position is not too far forwards, drop the club back 6 inches, and we should be able to get this ball drawing, coming off a lot faster, and hopefully hitting more fairways as that one is trying to do. Again, one up the left centre, one up the right centre, both the same distance, which is very interesting there. Not the best strikes at the similar distance, and again, if we look at exactly where we've hit that, it's being consistent. It's on that right hand side, it's on the toe. We're getting the path out to the right, but start to think about it when you do set up. Get into that routine. So set the club face first. So where are we wanting to start the club face? Again, now we're wanting to probably get the club face starting or aiming just down the right hand side. So set that first, something in front, then build your stance. And then once we're in there with the golf ball, the last thing I'm going to do is square these shoulders up, drop that back 6 inches, and we're then ready to pull the trigger. We can get that routine consistent, we can get you hitting the ball better, we can get it coming off faster, we can get it going longer, and we can help you to get good at golf.